Good morning and welcome to the Geelong Cricket Show here on this bright and sunny Saturday morning. Looking forward to a great weekend of cricket here in our great city of Geelong. Joining me at the table of knowledge, the man of Bellarine Peninsula Cricket Association, and yes, he's making me eat this ball on behalf of the Queenscliff Cricket Club. It's a very good morning to Tim Michell.
Yes, Graham, you are going a little bit short of Freddie short style, should we say, on that ball. We're just going to have a few chomps at it because Queenscliff have made you eat humble pie. That's something that I'm sure we'll have a chat about a little bit later in what's shaping up as a really tight and interesting round on the Bellarine Peninsula, as well as in the GCA, another round to look forward to.
And joining us as our special guest this morning, he leads the growling Tigers at Grovedale, looks after them in a very strong administrative manner and rules with an iron fist. Mr. Owen, no, it's not you, Nico. It's the one and only Dean Oliver. How are you, Dean?
Morning, Graham. It's always good to be here.
Hey, Nico thought I was going to give him a bit of a plug this morning.
Oh, he wouldn't be out of bed, don't
He
worry.
wouldn't be out of bed yet. It's great to have you here, Dean, and we'll talk to Dean during our special segment. Looking at Premier Cricket, Geelong, what a performance last Saturday against Essendon at Essendon. Essendon travelling along nicely, chasing Geelong's total of 197. Essendon were 5 for 587. They fell to 7 for 193. They needed 5 runs to win, 3 wickets in hand, and they lost 8, 9, all out for 193. Tim, Mark Carson, Cam Alford, Jeremy Hart, 3 wickets apiece. A great team effort from Geelong.
Yeah, it was an amazing performance from the Cats and a really crucial one when you have a look at the ladder. Considering there's 2 rounds left in the Premier Cricket, if Geelong really wins those last 2 games, and obviously there is a little bit of pressure on them to win them to make sure they sight up that top 8 spot and some results go their way, amazingly they could still sit top of the table. It's really that tight from about 6th or 7th to first, where obviously St Kilda are playing so well, and it's looking unlikely that they'll get knocked off the mantle of top the way that they are playing at the moment. But it's that sort of win, the one that they did have last week, and the Cats, that I think it can prove, and it was something that Damien Shanahan came out and said, it can just give you that little bit of a unifying factor going into finals, because it was just a fantastic result. Jeremy Hart obviously standing up again with the ball, and it's something that we seem to be seeing. Captains are more willing in the international game as well as locally to go to their spinner when they really do need wickets, and Jeremy Hart was the one that provided the results on the weekend.
So a win to Geelong at Windy Hill over Essendon, and now today it's back home to the Geelong Cricket Ground for a crucial match, a must-win game for Geelong against Richmond. And the Tigers in the Premier League, I'll have to ask the president of the Grovedale Tigers, what do you think, Dean? Do you think Geelong can keep this momentum up?
Well, coming off such a great win last weekend, Graham, I think it's there. It's a simple equation, really. They've just got to win the next 2 games and they're there. So it's no use trying to build it up for one game. It's 2 games they've got to win, and I think they'll be there.
It's a very tight top 8 at the present time, Tim, and I think a lot of the outcome in relation to Richmond v Geelong down at the Geelong Cricket Ground is really going to depend upon how well Geelong can bat from number 1 through to about number 6.
Yeah, you've hit the nail on the head there, Graham. Obviously, Tom Elliott was really the only one that stood up with the bat up there at Windy Hill a couple of weekends ago. So Damien Shanahan will be looking to his batsmen. I think himself up the top of the order. Obviously, Liam Buchanan was in sparkling form at the start of the season. Just tapered off a little bit, but still in pretty good touch with the bat as well. So they'll be 2 of the key figures. And I think if those top 6, as you said, Graham, can really get going for the Cats and post them a pretty formidable total, and we've seen some already this season down at the Geelong Cricket Ground, totals in excess of 250. If they can get something like that, then they'll definitely be favourites to knock off the Tigers.
To Damien Shanahan and his Chargers down at the Geelong Premier First 11 ground or game this morning starting 11 o'clock. Go Cats against the Richmond Tigers. Another win and a place in the 8. Turning our attention to the Bellarine Peninsula Cricket Association. It's a penultimate round. The first day last Saturday. Today is the second day of the game before we then enter the final round of home and away matches. And what a turn-up of some of the games last week. And in particular, we saw Jan Jacques resume today at 5 for 100 after dismissing the Drysdale Hawks for 91 a surprise, Tim?
Yeah, it certainly was a surprise considering that Jan Juck have probably been one of the poorer teams since Christmas, really haven't been playing any good cricket at all. And while the talent's certainly there in their lineup, they really have struggled and they were prepared to blood another young player, and it's something that we've seen since Aaron Munsey went down to the club. Nicky Smith made his A-grade debut on the weekend, managed to get 2 wickets as well, as Drysdale, who were sitting second at the start of the round, were routed for under 100, and Jan Juck having already passed their total. Maybe they'll start dreaming of an outright because that's the only way that they really can have any chance of making finals, Jan Juck, if they can take full points from this game and possibly their game in the last round as well. It's really disappointing one for Drysdale, but yeah, Jan Juck certainly turned up to play last weekend, Graham. Barrable
195 on the board, Wallington making the chase this afternoon. It will be a battle between these two sides to just keep the slimmest chance of a final 6.
Yeah, well, if results go their way, depending on the result of the Queenscliff and Port Arlington clash, which we spoke about last week, obviously so crucial in shaping that top 6. If Queenscliff end up getting up in that game down at Queenscliff and they're in a pretty good position after the first day of play, then whichever side wins this game is likely to sit 6th after this round, and then their destiny's in their own hands, which is a position that you obviously want to be in at the business end of the season. If Wellington do get up, it's been a very difficult couple of weeks for the club. They were broken into last Monday, unfortunately had a lot of money and also some alcohol stolen as well, and lost a 2020 game 2 to Newcombe, so they overcame a pretty difficult week for the club to bowl Barrable out for 195 last week, and I think they'll go on and chase that total down today.
One of the very interesting games score-wise, the Grubbers Ocean Grove resume at 4 for 47 after bowling very well to dismiss Bowen Heads for 140. Could we see an upset?
Yeah, credit to Ocean Grove. They did bowl fairly well last week and obviously took part in this game. And Chris McSween, it was with the new ball, really strangled a lot of the Bowen Heads batsmen. Dan Roddis from the other end. Bowls with some pretty good wheels. The left armour who's over from England playing for Ocean Grove as well. So they did bowl well, but the 4 wickets that Bowen Heads took overnight, they were really up and about, and it was one of the more enjoyable sort of 15-over sessions that I've played a part in, Graham, to grab those 4 wickets. And I think on the back of that, probably the first, not only the first hour, but probably the first half an hour is going to decide this. If Bowen Heads can grab 1 or 2 really early wickets, then they'll go on and grab a victory. But otherwise, we might see Ocean Grove get up in that one.
The Anglesea pouncing, bouncing Kangaroos, none for 7, chasing Newcombe Bulls 153. Too strong?
Yeah, I think they certainly will be. 153 is not going to be enough with an Anglesea lineup that looks set to cement that top 6 spot, and I think they can do that this weekend.
And the team that's making Rawlo have a chew of the ball, Queenscliff. No wicket for 43, with Smith making 42 not out, resuming today, chasing Port Arlington's total of 191. This is going to be a game.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. It's another game where Port Arlington need a few early wickets to really stifle that Queenscliff batting lineup. Toby Smith, obviously 42 not out of the 43, and off only 8 overs too, so Queenscliff came out looking to make a statement. It could have been a little bit rosier considering they were 9 for 120 Port Arlington, but Dean DeLuca dug them out of a bit of jail last week, and I think 190 is still probably not enough though, considering Queenscliff have got that target down and only need a further 145 for victory.
That's the scene in Premier and Ballawine Peninsula Cricket. We'll go to a break on the Geelong Cricket Show and be back with our special guest after this.